All right, welcome everyone to episode 17 of Bacon, Bibles, and Barbells. Today we have a special guest, Toney from the group. He's going to be talking to us about how to dial in your macros. Really excited, going to get a good insight from a fellow person from the group, just sharing his kind of journey to figure out how dieting works and how to set that up, and hopefully that will be great advice for you guys to take home. So, how's everyone doing today?
Awesome.
Very good. I'm great.
Yeah, I had a really good weekend. I had a mock meet. So basically, for a college kid trying to save money, I did my own mock meet at a gym instead of doing the actual meet that would have been on November 14th. And so I did the typical squat, bench, and deadlift at the gym with a couple friends, and it went pretty well. Some good, some bad. I went 6 for 9 on my lifts, and so I didn't hit any of my third lifts, which was a little disappointing, but I hit a 570 squat that was ridiculously fast, and I was really pumped about that. Went to 620, which would have been a 20-pound PR. Wasn't able to hit that. Hit a 380 bench, which is my first competition. It's a huge competition PR. My previous PR in bench for a meet was 330, so gained 50 pounds in that. And then my deadlift, I hit 655, which it was a 5-pound PR, but it was still good as a PR. I'll take it. And I think the main thing I took away from this experience, this mock meet, was I was kind of going through a phase where I was kind of like just going through a typical linear program, starting to get a little bored, and it's kind of just becoming a real grind. So it'll take a week off, get my body refreshed, get my kind of mind off lifting for a week, and then ready to go for the next week. Now I'm really excited, a lot more hungry to get in the gym and start a new program and start. Now I know what goals I want to go for and where to go from here. So going to be starting a raw conjugate. So keep it brief, just going to add some variations, work on my weak points, and hopefully make some gains through that. So it's a good weekend.
Excellent.
So.
Awesome.
We're going to have Louis Simmons on next week to talk about your programming, right?
Yeah. We're going to have Louis on to talk about why your programming sucks.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So, Everett, you also had a meet this weekend, right?
Yeah, mine was not the college poverty meet. Mine was the Michigan State powerlifting meet, and I completely sucked. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. The numbers I hit in the gym were just not happening on the platform, and that's some days it's good, some days it's bad. I got out of the habit this year of using my bucket for my squatting, and my squats crept up just by about a half an inch or so, and so I got called high on my squats. And the federation I'm in, they're real sticklers. They're known for being sticklers about depth and things like that. And I just I almost bombed out. Actually, I almost bombed out. Now that said, I came away with meet PRs in squat and bench still, and a total PR. So it's not a complete loss. I just thought I could do better. But coming out of it, I've revamped my programming, focusing on some weak spots for my bench. I've stopped doing any touch and go bench. It's all paused now. I brought the bucket back out, and I'm working on 3x3s for squatting right now, and I'm really enjoying it. So my next meet is in April, and I'm looking forward to doing much better. I'm also beginning a cut. So I am planning to compete a whole weight class lower. So we will see how that goes. I will probably be miserable for a while. I'm excited though.
Yeah, that's cool. I think the good takeaway from both of our meets is just that, honestly, just if you're a listener, I know we mentioned this in episode 10 where we talked about doing your first powerlifting meet. Do a meet in, go for it. Even at the worst case experience you have the worst experience you possibly could have. As far as your lifts, it's still going to be positive. In a sense, you'll know where to go, and you kind of gives you a hunger and a scope to get better, or hunger to get better. So,
yeah. And the truth is that the gym is so much different than the platform. I mean, I got there and weighed in at 7 a.m. I didn't deadlift till 4. Yeesh. That's a long day.
Wow.
That's a long day. And so it just takes some endurance. It takes a lot of timing. I learned a lot, and trust me, I'm ready. I'm excited about my next one.
Nice. I'm working with a group of guys. I know last episode I kind of jokingly, or 2 episodes ago, I was joking about how to find a workout buddy. I decided, you know what, I'm gonna just find one, and we got a group of 4 or 5 guys that go train at 11 to 12 at the gym, and they do strictly circuit training. It's like CrossFit, except for it doesn't cost $200 a month, and it was a lot of fun. It's yeah. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Today we did bench. It's the second week I'm doing it, and 250 on the bench for 5 sets of 3. Plyometric push-ups off of these little like half ball things that you're supposed to like do things with your feet on. I don't know what they're called.
Boosu balls.
There you go. Yes, I was homeschooled. So you put 2 of them side by side. And you do push-ups, and you're supposed to clap. I try clapping, and I don't clap very often. But and then a few other exercises: dumbbell flies, incline bench. It's a busy hour of time, and actually, the last set you just do 250 on the barbell for reps. You just go until you can't go. I think I did like 19 or 20 good form. Which is great because my goal has always been to get that 315 bench, and I'm just, I guess, mentally telling myself I can't do it. But yeah, they're like, yeah, you could probably do 315 right now if you wanted to. So next week I might have to post a PR video. So that's exciting.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm just doing it for a couple weeks. Sorry.
I'm glad that you finally found some friends, Dave.
It's been a long few years of my life. The mirror's been my only companion, and it's nice to have some other guys to hang out with. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, your wife must be proud.
She is. She's tired of me here. Man, these guys I'm hanging out with. She's like, shut up. I don't want to hear about it. So. Gets tired of it. No, she's awesome. Yeah. She doesn't. She's listening. You're awesome. Oh gosh. So Toney.
Good cover, Dave.
Okay. Makes great podcasting. Toney, what has been your week like? That was not in the script, but that's how I asked.
Yeah.
That was not a real sentence either.
I did last week. This week I think honestly I kind of just roamed around the gym and touched weights and called that my workout. So I primarily focus on CrossFit style, I guess, but I really have an emphasis on strength. So I'll do heavy things, not so much the, just the named workouts really, but if I'm going to do a WOD that has a couplet or a triplet in it, I'll start out with doing a strength set. So, I might do some overhead squats, as heavy as I can go. I'll work up to a 1 rep max. Things like that where I'm always working on strength because that's my focus. As I want to be stronger, and the CrossFit's just fun. I enjoy it. So I'll do a lot of that. If I'm tired and really just know I can't lift, then, I might throw in just a quick CrossFit style workout. I run a lot, not because I like it, but because I'm a former fat boy. And I need to run. So usually on Sundays, I'll go out and try to get some miles in. I got 7 miles in on Sunday, this past Sunday. So that's kind of what I focus on, but it's just kind of whatever I'm feeling. I really am going by feel these days, based on my energy levels and so on. I have a half marathon coming up in February that I'm pretty focused on. It's a local, but it's a famous local, and I really want to better my time. So I'm kind of gearing up towards that. And then after that, I'm going to start on a pure strength cycle.
Wow.
So I'll take that for probably 6 or 12 weeks and see, how I'm feeling with it and if I can make some gains there.
Awesome. Yeah, I've got the bumper sticker on my car that shows how many Oreos I can eat in like 30 seconds. It's like, it's not the marathon one. It looks like it. It's just,
is it the 0.0?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do 5Ks like once every 5 years or so, but
I do 5Ks like twice a week.
That's probably the way I should be doing. If my goal is to lose that fat, that's probably where I should be headed with my workout.
Like, hey, you want to come run a 5K with me? You mean Tuesdays?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do a Tuesday with you.
Right. Like, oh, it's not a monthly thing? Oh. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, let's see. Power Pastor's trying to connect. Hey.
I heard something about a 5K or something like that. That just sounds miserable.
5K calories? That's what I had this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, back me up here, Mike. I thought we weren't doing cardio.
Is that Spanish or? Yeah,
it's Spanish for
yeah,
reason.
It's Spanish for no way.
Yeah, I had 5K calories and had like 6 trips to the Chinese buffet table, so that's all I can talk about. That's my Saturday. Your Tuesday, it's my Saturday.
Nice. Okay, so tonight we're talking to Toney. So, Toney, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, Toney Sauls. I live in sunny Tampa, Florida. So I can exercise out of doors just about all year round, and I love it.
Wait, you run in Florida?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you are sick. Okay, carry on.
Yeah, running in the summer is interesting.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, but anyway, it's what I got, and I love it. I'd rather
Nice.
take that than the snow. I lived in Kentucky for about 10 years, and I got tired of shoveling snow, so I came back home. So I can appreciate both. I work from home. I work for a software company. I'm a project manager. So I basically spend my day worrying and checking up on other people to make sure they're doing their job. That's
Nice.
a kind way to put it, but that actually plays into, how my macros work and how calories work is, as you can see, I sit here all day. I work from home, but I have a desk job. So my body does not behave in a lot of the same ways that it would if I were active or even, had somewhere where I could walk around on a regular basis. I mean, I get up front, and I'll take walks around the neighborhood when I can, but by and large, I'm not active throughout my day. So that plays into heavily, how my calories work and how I factor in my macros.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of me in a nutshell. I have 4 kids also. So they keep me on my toes. And,
What are their ages?
Going at the first 3 are girls and the last one's a boy. In order, they are 8, 7, 5, and 3.
Oh, that's great. They're still likable.
Sometimes, but I try to take them with me to the gym as much as I can. The boy came with me. His name's Killian. He came with me a couple Saturdays ago, and he really enjoyed that. So he didn't really do much except, run around and bounce around, but he loved it, and I love that he was there with me. My gym is a small family-owned, smallish, but family-owned. So, they have no qualms at all about, bringing in my children or anything like that. Or bring my dog sometimes.
Okay.
So
what type of training do you do? I know you talked a little bit about CrossFit type stuff. What do you do?
I try to incorporate a little bit of CrossFit just because I enjoy it so much. I just like the activity. I like the pace of it. I have a younger brother who is a personal trainer, and he actually trains at the gym I work out at. So because he's my brother and because he's younger, I'm constantly trying to beat him in CrossFit workouts, but because he's younger, I can't. So I am not 23.
Praise God.
So, but it's fantastic. Talking about having a workout partner, I just don't on a regular. But there are, the opportunities I have to work out with him. My family in general is really into fitness. My father is in his mid 50s, single digit body fat, strong as an ox.
Nice.
I mean, he really is. Like, I'm not exaggerating.
Wow.
People often ask if we're brothers. He's just in really good shape. So any chance that we have to work out, the three of us, that's always a treat and it's always a blessing. But in general, I do the CrossFit, but I really like to focus on strength. I've been kind of weaning off of that in the last month or so, getting ready for this half marathon coming in February. So I'll be focusing more on leaning out and just kind of getting my stamina up for that. And then after February, starting in March, I'll be focusing purely on strength.
Very nice. Very nice.
How much do you...
Don't ask how much.
No. I was gonna ask, do you find the transition easy? I mean, so I come from a triathlon background, and I was lean and light, and now I'm powerlifting. And for a while, I toyed around with doing both, but then realized that would be crazy. So, how do you find the transition? Does it take you a long time to transition between the two, or?
No, not at all. And I was actually thinking about this because a lot of you guys post in the group that you're doing a lot of powerlifting and you're just eating everything you can get your hands on. And so I think about this a lot, and that's not me. I don't know what the catchy phrase is, but I'm the opposite of a hard gainer. I'm actually a hard fat loser. So it doesn't take much for me to build my strength back up. And I'm not saying I'm a He-Man or anything, but I can transition to it very easily and very quickly, and get any gains back that I had lost, if I was tapering down. It just doesn't take me long at all. I just kind of have that built into me. So I don't think, I'll ever completely drop the CrossFit style. I'll probably work that in, once a week or so. I just enjoy it. I like the feeling of it. I like the challenge of it. But for me, it's not really different because I'm always working strength into my workouts to begin with.
Right.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, and then you gotta do what keeps you interested, keeps you motivated. So that's the most important part.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
So do you just bring your workouts of the day to that local gym, and is it cheaper than a regular CrossFit box, or is it a CrossFit box with all the?
The owner of my gym is actually a CrossFit competitor. Regularly goes to regionals. Hasn't been to the games yet, but is rarely in local competitions, money competitions. So he built it out, for that. It's a place that he trains.
Okay.
And we've got everything you could want. There's rigs, there's squat racks, there's all the bumper plates you could want. Bars aplenty of stuff for me to do. So yeah, I kind of I tend to build my own workouts. Sometimes I'll do the ones he's doing, but again, he's a competitor, so his workouts sometimes are a little insane. But all in all, yeah, it's a place where I can go and pretty much do whatever I want. There's rowers, there's airdynes. If I want to, where it is, I can just go outside and run up and down, the road for miles if I want.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. I'd have to drive to go miles. I mean, I'm pretty confident. I can go mile, but not miles.
Yeah. So this is our first CrossFitter on the show. This is we should have I don't know, a sound effect maybe. This one might work.
Insert clapping sound effect.
No.
There we
Is
go.
it buzzsaw? What is that?
All right, dramatic chickmunk.
I have no idea what just came over there.
It's the worst sound effect ever.
Now that you say it, yeah.
Do you want to share your feelings about CrossFit with Toney?
Hey, listen, you don't have to. You don't have to try and hide it. I think in general, a lot of CrossFitters are nuts, and I think it can be done in a very dangerous way. And I think there are people that do it in a dangerous way. So, I'm not going to argue that. It's what it is.
Yeah.
It's extremely popular. It's growing rapidly, and there's bad eggs out there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We're doing the circuit training right now, and I spend half my time telling one of the 4 other guys that's with our group, like, stop it, stop doing that. You're doing that wrong. Yeah. So I don't know about the other 2 guys. They seem to be okay, but yeah, I spend like half my time like correcting for them, like, no, that's not a deadlift, that's a back breaking whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
thing.
And as I said, I because I focus on strength, and I really want to become, just for my sake, I want to become proficient in the Olympic lifts. I focus on that form. If it means I do less weight, if it means I do less reps, that's fine. But to me, I want it to matter. I want it to count.
Yep.
Nice.
Very cool. So flexible dieting. You mentioned your dad's in the single-digit fat percentages.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's just got a big old heaping of genetics. He takes a big glass of that every morning. He's just, and that's not to say he doesn't work, but he's, and I'm really not joking. I wish you guys could meet him. He's 230 pounds, single digit body fat.
Dang.
So he's a biggin. He's 6'7".
Okay. I was gonna say, depending on his height, we might have to have a different conversation.
He's 4 foot.
I was about to be like
6'7".
Yeah.
Oh man.
How tall are you, Toney?
Not that tall. I'm 5'10".
You're 5'10".
Yeah, I got hosed.
You're like bigger than me. Oh, Mike, that was bad.
What'd you say?
I said you got the short end of the stick.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's a good powerlifting weight or height, though, right?
My center of gravity is awesome.
Hey, I'm with you, man. I'm 5'9". All my weight goes in my butt and my quads, and so it's just squat comes easy. So.
I mean, what was Cohen, like 5'6"?
Yeah, I think he was something small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, flexible dieting. I got to get a book on transitions, and I need to start reading it. Anyways.
It's not enough to get the book. I got to read it.
I got to read it. Yeah. Well, I've got like 2 books on podcasting, and I still haven't read either of them. So that tells you what's going on with our show. How'd you get into flexible dieting, flexible eating?
All right. So how I came about it, as I said earlier, I'm a former fat boy, maybe a current fat boy, depending on how you measure.
Yeah.
So I've always been able to, get really strong in the gym, and I can, lift as heavy as I want, and I can progress in the ways that I want. Mm-hmm. But my body just really likes to hold on to fat. I can cut my activity down and, cut my calories down, or I can cut my calories and I can up my activity, and so on and so forth. And it was always this back and forth, and I would get to where I wanted, as far as physique goes and function goes, but I was always bottoming out and would always end up coming back up to a body fat percentage I didn't want. Sometimes stress plays into that. Sometimes, your situation in life plays into that. There could be any number of reasons why you're carrying around extra fat. But about probably February of this past year, I'd been trying a lot of different things. I was working out just as intense as you please, running regularly, and I just wasn't seeing any results. I kind of bottomed out. And I just started digging around and looking around and trying to find something that I thought, man, what's something I could try? So I after enough times heard of If It Fits Your Macros, IIFYM. And I think I'd been hearing about it for years and just never really gave it time of day. It was this really complex formula, and I just kind of, would always get sick of it and move on to the next thing. I was like, oh, I'll just run an extra mile. Well, I thought, I started reading about it, and, since when I originally heard about it, there's been more, information on the web about it. And so I just kind of got on and kind of said, this is something I'm going to try, and I'm going to learn about it. And so I gave myself about a month to kind of learn the process. I'd never really tracked my calories before. I'd never really focused terribly much on what I ate other than, am I eating quote unquote clean or quote unquote dirty? And that's really as far as I ever took it. But I thought I'd give this a try. I was a little turned off. If you go on Instagram or even on Facebook or Twitter, there's always people going, oh, I just had 15 donuts for breakfast, yo. Hashtag IIFYM. And I was really put off by that. And, of course, they're showing you their supermodel physique, which, again, is that big old helping of genetics. But I was kind of put off by that, and so I never gave it the time of day. But, again, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make it work for myself. In that, though, what you start to realize when you start researching, flexible dieting, flexible eating, is that a calorie a lot of times is just a calorie. If you're at all, interested in paleo or, the primitive, anything like that, they'll tell you that, carbs are absolutely bad. You need to be, ketonic all the time. Only fats, very minimal carbs, protein. And that might work for a time, but I don't think that's sustainable. You can't do that your whole life. Mm-hmm. And I wanted something that, could work for me. So I went on to iifym.com, and the website, by the way, if you guys go there, just keep moving. I'm going to talk about it because that was my process, but the website is so old and so full of, old advertisements, and it's just, clickbait anymore. Mm-hmm. But they had their calculator there, and I plugged all my stuff in, the best I knew how. And it gave me a set of calories. I told it I want to lose, 2 pounds a week. So it gave me a calorie output, and it gave me a macro output. Macros are, there's really 4.5. But the 3 primary ones that you'll focus on are protein, carbohydrates, and fats. The other 4th one is fiber, and then the half one is alcohol. Alcohol has its own kind of set of rules. You treat it as a carbohydrate, but you count it differently. But that, for most people, that's not even really a factor. And the fiber, as long as you're eating plenty of vegetables, you'll get that as well. But trust me, if you're eating lots of protein, you want fiber. It will cause you problems. Yeah. So I figured that out, and I thought, all right, I'm going to give this a shot. And I downloaded MyFitnessPal, and I started tracking things, best of my ability, looking at labels. If it was fresh meat or chicken, I was like, all right, I try to figure all that out. And probably for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I was doing this loosely, but about 2 or 3 weeks, I saw a little bit of change, and, that's encouraging. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try to key this in even more. I'm going to be more strict with it, and see how far I can go. Again, at this point, I'm not thinking necessarily of a lifestyle change, just seeing if this is going to work. And that's when I kind of stumbled on the idea of, it brought me so far, but after a while it teetered out. And I was trying to think through what are all the potential variables in my personal life that could be causing this to stop. Why is the weight loss stopping? Right. Was it water weight? I'd lost 14 pounds. And then it just stopped. I'm like, well, you can only carry about 2.5, 3, 4 pounds of water. So there was some significant loss there. But that's what I said earlier on is, I kind of realized, well, wait a minute. I sit down most of the day. So I'm not burning, the same amount of calories that someone that's active. I'm not walking across campus. My job is not any kind of manual labor, other than getting up and, going to fill my cup up. So I started to factor that in, and I thought, okay, if I'm telling, these calculators online, and I really recommend the one at healthyeater.com.
Okay.
It's a really, really good calculator. It's simple, and I've had really good luck with it. And actually, if you email the guy that owns that website, he'll actually respond back to you, which is neat. But I put in that I was inactive. So even though I work out, almost every day, I put in the calculator that I was inactive. And of course it changes, that formula, and it gave me a different calorie output, not dramatically lower than the other, but lower. I thought, well, I'll give this 2 weeks. I'm experimental. I'm always experimenting on myself to see what works, what doesn't. And sure enough, I broke that plateau, and I still had plenty of energy. I would get to the gyms and I could work out. I had all the energy to do what I wanted, and it worked for me. And so that's when I kind of made that mental note of, okay, because of my particular job and, what I do for 8-10 hours a day, I need to consider the fact that I'm not burning as many calories, as somebody that is even moderately active throughout the day. So that's kind of how I came to it. I kind of got over my fear of of what a calorie is. I got over my fear of carbs. I love carbs. I adore carbs. So, I eat a lot of rice, a lot of mashed potatoes, to kind of get my carbs in. So it's not that the whole point of, and I hope that, anybody listening gets from this is, when you start off doing this, you kind of have to be strict with it because you're learning the process. You have to learn to be disciplined. Buy yourself a digital scale, a food scale, weigh your food, because that's going to teach you, how to recognize portions. I can take a bunch of chicken now and guess within, a gram or so, or an ounce or so, how much that is, because I've done it so often. I start to recognize just by sight how much approximate food is. It helps you when you're going out to eat. If you're going out to eat and you don't have a chance to look at the menu beforehand, which I'll do sometimes, you can kind of gauge by, what's in front of you, approximately how much you're eating. And that's helpful. If your goal is to lose weight or even maintain weight and not gain, extra fat, that's very, very helpful for you. So a calorie, for the most part, is a calorie. Carbs are your friend, just as much as protein. And, I'm not scared of fat either. I put sour cream in almost everything I eat just to get, my fats in, and it's tasty calories, and it completely fits my macros.
So question, Toney, when you switched over to using the different calculator and you had different numbers, I'm assuming they're a lot lower than when you had before. So that meant you were taking in, you had a larger caloric deficit. I guess you tracked, your body fat percentage and your weight loss. Do you have like how much weight did you end up losing, or what was your percentage before and after with the new calculator and the new tracking software?
I wish I'd have kept track of when I switched. I didn't do that, but I can tell you, once I finally dialed in and understood, my energy output, what my calories in versus calories out, as Mike said, needs to be, I've lost in the neighborhood of 27 pounds of fat.
Oh, wow. That's great.
So I'm sure a little bit of that is lean mass, just, losing that much, but not much. I mean, as I said, I'm lifting all the time. I eat lots and lots of protein. So I'm trying to preserve, the mass that I have, and if I'm lucky, building a little bit. But I can tell you, it's been an adventure. I'm not done yet.
Sure.
With my cut. Like I said, I'm working up to this half marathon. Even though it's February in Florida, I will be running, without my shirt on. So, got to look good without my shirt on.
That's right. Right.
It'll be a crisp 70 degrees in February. But that's kind of my fitness journey right now. When I come to March, when I begin my strength cycle, I'm going to be able to tweak this some. So obviously I'm going to want to start to put on some mass, right? I want to get a little bit stronger. I'm going to need more energy for the lifts I'll be doing. So I'll have to tweak this then, but that's what I enjoy about it is it's infinitely scalable. No matter what your goals are, if you want to gain weight, that's fine. You want to lose weight, that's fine. You want to maintain, that's fine too. As Mike said, there's a lot of different ways you can go about eating. For me, this is a way that you really can do your whole life. Not that everybody wants to track everything they eat for their entire life, but if you have fitness goals and you're fitness minded, it's just part of your routine anyway. And if you have no routine, if you're kind of lost in the woods and you don't know what to do and you've not been to the gym in years and, you're tired of feeling, heavy and out of breath all the time, it's an option for you. And I think it's a good one for a lot of people. It's easy. You're not limited to certain foods. For me. So, and here's an example, when you say the macros, there's not one ratio that's best for everybody. There really isn't. You want to make sure you get, enough protein, in your system all the time. Your body loves protein. But when it comes to carbs and fats, it's just energy. So my particular taste palate doesn't crave a lot of fats. So when I say I throw sour cream into everything, when I put, 5 tablespoons of sour cream into my dinner, which sounds like a lot, that's still not a ton compared to, the amount of carbs I'm eating. So I moved all of my calories that weren't consumed with protein from fats to carbs and just left a little bit in the fat range, just to have that in my system. But if if your palate prefers a little more of that fatty taste, and you don't, necessarily prefer the carbs and you don't need all that, extra energy and whatnot, you can move your macros around to fit your lifestyle. And that's what I enjoy about it a lot.
Hey, Toney, what was your starting weight?
This go around, I was at 231.
Okay.
And for me, for my body shape, I hold my fat in my belly. It's not a pot belly. It's just belly. I hate it. So I started off there and just being methodical. And the key too is patience. You want that. Everybody wants that quick hit. Everybody wants that instant gratification, and you'll get some of that. But it's a long haul for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think you've talked a little bit about it being more lifestyle direction than a diet. I mean, it's not a means to an end. It is in itself an end, having a healthy relationship with food and being able to know what your body responds to the best.
Absolutely. And, it's funny you mentioned that. I went through phases. I've been, my family, as I said, very fitness minded in my family. And so, almost my entire adult life, teenage life, it was all about that. But I remember times, periods with my wife where, we would eat separate dinners. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's because I was scared of the calories. I was scared of what I thought to be, quote, dirty food, which is, again, not true. It's having that healthy relationship with, if I want to have a piece of chocolate or if I want to, have a bowl of ice cream, I'm good for that.
Right.
I understand how, it's going to work with my body. And, if I want, several slices of pizza, I'll have that. And it's not that, I'm some kind of giant fat burning machine. But it's that I understand, for me, for my body, for myself, calories in and calories out. I know how that works for me.
Yeah. It's funny. I always think of it like a budget in a sense. Like if I don't track what I'm spending, I'm going to be broke in a real hurry.
Yeah.
And so you're way more aware of the stuff you're eating when you track it. It doesn't mean you can't eat what you want to eat. It's just, if you're not aware, you're just going to eat whatever you want. Right. So.
Yeah. I had 2 quick points I want to make. Just kind of, you were saying how people who are in fitness and they're disciplined already, really, I think that calorie counting isn't that much of a process. Like I pull out my phone, I put it in, and it keeps me accountable. It's really not a burden. And if anything, I look as a way, like I said, it puts me in a routine and keeps me accountable. Like I ate something, now I got to go put it in, or after every day, I'm going to put in what I ate and make sure that I'm staying on track. And so I don't think it's as difficult a process when it's so accurate. As we talked about, fat loss really comes down to calories in versus calories out. That doesn't mean throw food quality and long-term health benefits out the window, but it's focusing on that primarily for weight loss and not becoming overly obsessive with what the types of food you're eating. So if you want the most if that's how losing weight works, then it just makes sense to count your calories in a way that's most accurate, or count your calories because it's the most accurate way of going about dieting, because that's just how it works. However, like Everett was saying, it's kind of not only flexible in the types of food you can eat, it's flexible where you can kind of incorporate into different types of diets and different types of styles or diet approaches, So if you really want to go paleo and you want to go that kind of low carb or something like that, you can still go ahead and do that if that's your preference. But the main focus is always going to be how many calories you're getting in, and that's the most accurate way to go about it. And that's not as difficult process as many people make it out to be. So kind of going off that, I know, Toney, you wanted to talk about how you incorporate, if it fits your macros, into intermittent fasting. And I think that's cool to show that intermittent fasting or flexible dieting it's like I said, it's flexible, that can be incorporated into different styles and different preferences of people. So how did you incorporate, if it fits your macros, with intermittent fasting? And
sure. So
maybe explain what intermittent fasting is briefly for our listeners.
Sure. So it's, fasting is fasting. It's where you, for a period, do not eat food. Everybody does this overnight, right? Every morning you break the fast. So you're not eating for roughly a 6 to 8 hour period, unless people wake up in the middle of the night to, scarf some pizza or something. But what intermittent fasting is, it's a fast that you do on a regular basis. Some people, and again, intermittent fasting is as varied, as flexible dieting. There's any number of ways to do it. There's any number of, gurus out there that say their way is the best, and so on and so forth. So, use your better judgment, read a lot. Just, try to get as many opinions as you can to try to decide for yourself what works best for you. But you basically don't eat. So some people, will wake up in the morning and not eat breakfast, and maybe they'll have lunch, around 12 or 1, or maybe they won't have lunch, and then they'll just have a ginormous meal for dinner, or they'll eat, a small meal before their workout, and then just scarf the rest of their calories after that workout. That's how some people do it. Some people, like myself, will basically skip a 24-hour period. So I'll eat dinner on Sunday night. I don't pig out, but I'll eat as much as I want, till I'm full, and then I won't eat again until Tuesday at lunch. That's one way to do it. There's, some people will do it maybe once a week, twice a week, once every other week. There's all different kinds of ways you can do it. But the point is, you're skipping, at least one meal, and you're effectively eliminating those calories. It's not primarily for fat loss. In some ways, your body likes to be in a fasted state. It helps you flush toxins. It helps you, clear out a lot of the just crud in your body. I can tell you, and I don't want to be gross, but it'll help flush your bowels, because you're not burdening your GI with all that extra food. And so, I'm not saying eating regularly is a bad thing. Please don't hear me say that. But when you do that, when you fast regularly, it helps you flush in a lot of different ways. So there's multiple health benefits to it. I'd encourage you to, jump online and read about it. There's plenty of information available. But the way I incorporated it into, if it fits your macros or flexible eating, is, like I said, for an example, I'll eat dinner on a Sunday, and then I won't eat again until Tuesday. I don't take those calories out of my weekly schedule. I just pretend like they're there. But in effect, I know, my body's not getting those calories, and I'm okay with it. I mean, I'm not starving. I'm not sitting around wasting away. I'll go to the gym and, do a full on CrossFit workout in a fasted state, and I'm no worse for wear. I've got extra fat on my body. I've got extra energy that my body can, utilize. And so I'm good that way. If you are already lean, I would really kind of test the waters there and consider, how you work out in a fasted state. But for me, I enjoy it. I look forward to those fasted times. And it fits in quite well with my daily activities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really cool. I actually utilize flexible dieting with intermittent fasting, such as you do, but I do it on a much minor scale. So, nice intermittent fasting can kind of be really extreme, like the most extreme end, like you do a 24-hour fast or something like I do, where it's just one day a week, maybe 12 hours or something like that. Mm-hmm. So you can use it in a minor scale. And basically what I do is those, so that pretty much cuts my calories in half for one day. So let's say I'm at like 2,500, that's 1,250 calories that I cut out. And so what I do is I take those 1,250 calories and I kind of use it as a rollover throughout the week. So let's say Monday I go over 400 calories. I'll just take that away from that 1,250. And so that's kind of been something helpful for me, and maybe some the users will like that. But the cool thing about intermittent fasting, or at least why it's beneficial to me, is when I start to eat, I get hungry. But if I fast, it's a lot easier to control. It's like, for me, it's easier to not eat at all than to start eating and to stop. So I think
I agree with you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's kind of like you hit this one point where you get hungry. Honestly, if you get over that, you automatically
drink a glass of water and you're fine. Yeah.
Right. So I think it's a really great tool. And if Toney, you said that, and I'm kind of the same way, that going through that period of fasting doesn't affect you at all when you're training and whatnot. I mean, if someone they can either dial it back down and do a kind of more mild scale, or don't do it at all. But it's a great tool. It's a great tool to use.
Yeah, and, you hit on something there that I think is worth mentioning is we've been trained, maybe just pick it up subconsciously, but that you lose weight by the day, right? So if you have, and I'm just throwing out numbers, if you have 2,000 calories, every day, and you hit, 2,500 calories one day, I'm automatically going to gain weight. Well, no, your body doesn't work on a basis like that. Kind of a turning point for me too, just mentally, is I started tracking my calories for the week. So if I go out to dinner on a Tuesday night and, I get the bloomin' onion instead of the salad, I know that, okay, I'm going to have to dial back my calories down a little bit, for the next few days. I'm not skipping meals because I ate more than I intended. And your body's the same way. You can do that rolling average of calories and still meet your goals. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's another, like you're hitting on, your calories works. Not even, it's not on a daily level. It's not even on a weekly level. I mean, if you really want to get the nitty gritty, you can think of it like yearly, but for the most practical purposes, I think for everyone, the most beneficial way to look at tracking your macros and your calories on a weekly level. So you could take away from some days and add on to others. Mm-hmm. Like I purposely eat 200 calories less 5 days out of the week. And that's 1,000 calories I add to one day on the weekend when I know I'm more likely to eat. So there's different ways you can manipulate it. And it's flexible dieting in general, just counting your calories. It's really flexible and incorporating into other diets and other approaches and preferences of how you want to go about it. So that's a huge benefit, and something that's worked well for me and you both. So
yeah. So, but back to in my daily life, I tend to eat, quote unquote clean, and that's only because I like chicken and broccoli and rice. I happen to like those foods. So
and they're cheap.
Yeah, they're cheap. I go to Sam's or Costco and I buy, chicken breast by the case because it's cheaper by the case. And I have a big freezer out in my garage, and I keep it in there. So that works for me. Sometimes I'll switch it up and do yellow rice, just for that, change of flavor. I will do, like turkey sausage or turkey kielbasa. The fat content's a little higher, but, I'll mix that in with, my vegetables and my rice. But by and large, just on a day-to-day, I tend to eat clean, but only because I like that food. The mashed potatoes with chicken and broccoli or vegetables or sub rice, that's a really easy to manipulate to hit your macros. If you're high on carbs, you can, cut it in half and, your rice in half and so on and so forth. If you need more protein, you add more chicken. Broccoli is basically a free food. And you can eat a whole bunch of it without, hitting any carbs. So, it's a meal that works well for me, but, if you want to eat, pizza, have a couple slices of pizza for lunch, but you got to factor that in. Your fat content, your fat macros are going to be a little bit higher. And I do that on the weekends. On Sundays, I kind of just treat it as a free day. I'm aware of what I'm eating. I'm not binging, but I don't really track on Sundays. Again, knowing that I might be going into a fast, I know that it's just kind of roll over. So, I go to my mom and dad's house on Sundays. She always cooks a big Sunday dinner. And I'm not even going to try to, track with that. I understand what she's cooking. I know the amounts I should probably be having. And I do it that way. So by and large, I eat clean, quote, because I like it.
Yeah.
You got any funny stories of where you're at a friend's house and you're like, what is that? And you're plugging it in your phone. You're like, I can't find it in my phone. And then you have it.
No, I don't really do that. I don't. So if I'm going out somewhere, if I'm going to a restaurant, and I have time, let's say, my wife and I had a gift card to Outback. We went out a couple weeks ago. So I jumped online and I looked at the menu and I thought, here are, 3 things I'd like to eat. And then you can go to, Calorie King, or you can go to a lot of different places if it's not in your app, and you can see what the macros are. And so you can say, all right, I can, of these 3 things that I thought looked good anyway, I'm going to get this one because it most aligns with what, my fitness goals are. If you don't have that opportunity, you kind of guess, but don't let it burden you. Like the whole point of this is, the macro Nazi is not, standing over your shoulder, like no gains for you.
Yeah.
Right. That's not the point of it. The point is it's flexible. So if you can, when you're going out or something like that, or going to a friend's house, do it. If you can't, do your best, but don't beat yourself up over it, especially if you're active. Being active helps so much.
Sure.
You can't outrun a bad diet, but it doesn't hurt either. Right. So if you're regularly active and, stuff like that, don't worry about going over, because it's a marathon. This isn't a short-term thing. It is a lifestyle. Everybody, again, I know you want to lose that weight fast, but it's going to take time, and you've got to figure out a way. What do you do once you lose the weight?
Right.
Once you hit that goal, if your goal is fat loss, what do? You got to figure out how to maintain that, right?
Yeah.
And so all of the lessons you learned and all the discipline you learned getting to that point, you've got to keep it just in a different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta get that. Yeah. Get that photographer, keep.
Yeah. I think
What?
it's,
Sorry.
yeah.
Hey, I'm just saying, when I get to 11%, I'm like, okay, all right, most muscle on the front, side. Where's the ice cream at? I'm done. This is
I'm almost there. I'm sitting at 13%. I'm almost there.
But
you're better.
Wow. 13%. What are you going to do? Get on stage? I mean, come on.
That's right.
Oh man, it's all for Mrs. Sauls.
Yeah. That's a good goal to have. It really is.
yeah.
Mrs. Sauls is my wife, by the way.
Yeah.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Just in case it was a question.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think you hit on some really good notes there about how this has to be seen as long term, because I've seen so many people who say, all right, I'm going to lose weight now, just and they get so, all of a sudden they just think, I need to eat healthy foods. I'm going to go low carb, just really low calories. Let's lose as much weight as possible. And then they just get frustrated and then they stop, or they say,
yeah, well, because it's not sustainable. The healthy foods, I mean, you walk down the aisle, it's like, 100-calorie snack pack. And it's like, so what? Like what they're proving there without, people realizing it is you can eat a bag of Oreos and it's 100 calories. It doesn't matter that they're small. Like you eat 1 or 2 or 3 Oreos and that's probably enough to satiate you. You feel satisfied. You ate, a few cookies. But that's what they're teaching us without teaching it to us. Is there's no such thing as a clean and dirty food. There's some exceptions, right? I mean, you don't want to eat fried food all the time.
No, Tony. You just told me to eat pizza all the time. This is what you told me. I'm going to do it.
It's got to be vegan pizza. I know some of you like the vegan pizza. I'm not harshing on the vegan pizza.
I don't even know what that means.
What language is that? Is that Elfin?
I didn't know we were bringing charismatics on here.
Sorry, I was wrong podcast. I dialed into the wrong one.
Wow.
So, but yes, in general, I mean, if you want to have a cheeseburger, have a cheeseburger, but you need to be aware of, where your calories are for the day, for the week. Mm-hmm. You need to be aware of the fat content. What I learned early on, I said at the front of this that, I was trying this out for a month or so to try to figure out how it was going to work. And I realized, like a lot of people, is I was drastically underestimating my calories. And I had no clue as to, the carb content of food. You eat something and it says healthy, or you eat something and you think it's good for you. For like actually, looking at the numbers, turkey bacon is worse for you than pork bacon. And plus, like, ew, turkey
Amen.
bacon. Amen. So you learn things like that, man, like I'm actually going to eat the good stuff because it's actually better for me, than some of the stuff that they market as health food. So understanding, this is going to teach you, what a calorie is and, what the different foods are going to take. I eat a cheeseburger. I know it's going to be anywhere between 800 and 1200 calories. It's going to have a significant amount of fat in it. And the lettuce and tomato on top is not going to do anything to offset that. Like, I know that. I know that bread probably has a lot of fat and carbs in it. But there's just things you learn, and it's okay. It's like, you know what? This cheeseburger is greasy and I'm going to love it. And amen.
Yeah. And that's what I like about this, Tony, because now while I don't do this particular approach, but what I like about it is that it's educational. You learn what works for your body and you learn how to control your portions. I mean, let's face it, it's like Weight Watchers for free, basically. You're learning how to eat properly. I mean, a lot of people need to be re-educated in order to reach their goals, because if not, then as soon as they jump off their next diet, they're going to gain it all back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's what, I try to emphasize a lot with people, because once you start making, fitness gains, obviously I've dropped, a lot of fat. And so I'm starting to look different and people notice it. What do you do? What do you do? What is it you do? And I say, well, I work my butt off in the gym. That's one of the things. But I eat this way. Oh, that's a diet? Well, no, it's not really a diet. It's not for a defined period of time. Like, I intend to do this. There may be times where I jump off of it. If you're going on a, 2-week vacation or something like that, you can't necessarily stick to it strictly, but this is something you can come back to, week after week, month after month, and year after year, and get yourself back on, a fitness cycle before it's too late. You don't need to gain back 25 of the 30 pounds you lost before you realize it's too late. Mm-hmm. Because like you said, Everett, you start to understand how food works and you're not scared of it. It's like a pendulum. We either love food a lot or are scared to death of food. And it shouldn't be that way. America has a lot of hyper palatable foods, high in salt, high in fat, and they just taste delicious. And you want to eat a bunch of them, but we have no idea, what one chicken wing, is going to do, never mind 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and what you said there about people asking you about, like, what are you doing? Whenever I'm in a cut or, I'm dropping weight or whatever, people ask me that. Oh, what are you doing? I always tell them the same thing. You don't want to know because it takes a lot of effort. I mean, it really does. It's a mindset. I mean, you really have to be into it, all the way from the gym to being conscious of everything that goes in your mouth. I mean, owning a scale, keeping track of it. And it's gotten easier with apps, but, nowadays, I mean, just because there's an app for it doesn't mean it's going to be easy for anybody.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I don't weigh myself as often as I used to. I kind of go by look in the mirror. But probably every couple of weeks, I'll weigh myself and kind of see where I'm at. But if you're new to this and you are, moderately to significantly overweight, and that, and you have a defined goal of, you want to drop some weight, you need to be weighing yourself all the time. Because at first, your body's not going to look like it's changing a lot. It's going to be going through some changes physiologically. So a good way for you to track that is on the scale. And once you drop, 10 pounds or more, so you'll start to see some changes in the mirror. But at first, you need that accountability. Every morning after you pee, get on that scale. And there's a bunch of physiological reasons why you want to weigh in the morning, but suffice it to say, you will weigh less in the morning than you will in the afternoon, even if you don't eat.
And the reason why I always weigh in the morning, I always tell people to weigh in the morning consistently, is because if you weigh yourself at night, like there's going to be, like we're talking, like I've had times where it's an 8-pound difference between night and morning. And in the morning, usually you're always going to be on an empty stomach. But if you have like a really high calorie day, or you we were talking about the rollover calories, or you ate more, you don't want to weigh yourself probably right. If you just ate a lot of food the night previously and it's a lot higher than you usually do, or if you consumed a lot of carbs, it's going to be a lot more water weight, some other factors. So what I like to do is I always try to weigh myself consistently on an empty stomach. For most people, that's just going to be on a typical day in the morning, weigh yourself, and then weigh yourself weekly at that same empty stomach morning. Do that consistently, because if you're weighing yourself at night and you're weighing yourself in the morning, it's going to be completely different. And that sounds simple, but that you'd be surprised how it really needs to be consistent, because at any given point in the day, I mean, I've seen my body, like you said, just in the course of a day, just out of curiosity, move around like 5 or 6 pounds, while I'm up during the day. So the body is a weird thing. It likes homeostasis. It wants to stay where it is. But your weight will fluctuate throughout the day, and that's just normal. Yeah.
It really is.
Funny story. My first meet, I weighed in after a water cut at 181. At night, I was weighing 205. So that goes to show. But I also had 10,000 calories. So
no, that didn't have anything to do with it.
No, of course not.
So,
well, I mean, for me, I drink so much water through the day that, I mean, I'm going to weigh an extra 5 pounds, if not more than that, every single night compared to when I wake up in the morning. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny too. I heard someone say one time, and it clicked for me. The reason your body can hold water, it has to do with your glycogen stores and all that. But carbohydrates feed those. But they said no, carbohydrate. And I was like, oh, when you eat a heavy carb meal, you're going to store water there. So that could have a factor as well on your way in.
Yeah. So, well, just kind of recap for our listeners, kind of what we've talked about. Wait, before I get into that, Toney, do you have anything else you want to mention before I kind of sum it up?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right.
That's it.
All right. All right, well, awesome, Tony. That's some great points. And just to sum up for our listeners, what we talked about, your body works calories in versus calories out. So counting your calories is probably the most accurate way to go about dieting. It's flexible in the sense you don't have to be obsessive about the types of food you eat, and it's flexible as you can incorporate to different types of diets and preferences like you like, such as you incorporate into intermittent fasting. And so if you're looking to get started and you kind of have no idea, how do I do this if it fits your macros, you could use that calculator that Tony referenced. That's in the show notes. That's at healthyeater.com. Again, we'll put the link in the description. Run through that. That's going to tell you how many calories you need to eat to lose fat. And then you can use the app, either MyFitnessPal, which is free, but Tony recommends My Macros Plus, which is available on Apple. And so you can use that, plug your calories in, and you can track your calories. If you want to be even more accurate, you get a food scale from Amazon, and you can use that to weigh your foods, especially your meats. And that's going to help you to plug those accurate numbers into My Macros Plus, which will calculate your calories. And
do yourself a favor too. Get a digital scale.
Yeah.
It'll be a whole lot easier for you. Even Walmart for $12.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
Yep. And so you could go ahead with that. And again, your calories work weekly. So you could take calories away from one day and add it to another. And just honestly, it's that simple. Go after it. Get your vegetables in, get your healthy foods in, but you have the flexibility. And so that's pretty much wraps that up.
Yeah, we didn't really talk much about dialing it in, I guess. We can talk about that more in this future episode, as far as like you got the calculator numbers, and then you have to, you may be losing or you may not be losing, and how do you deal with the plateaus? And that might be a future episode.
Yeah, we can. And if you want to do another episode, we can talk about it here, and you can work it in. It's up to you.
Yeah.
I don't mind working it in.
Okay.
Because I think it would work good. Yeah. So, and I something wanted to, so Tony, you got the numbers right in the macronutrients from the calculator, fresh off the interwebs.
Yep.
And you're, how do you have to tweak them at all? How do you know? How do you dial them in to get them to work?
Yeah. So here's how it works. Each one of those macros, the protein, the carbohydrates, and the fats, all represent a certain number of calories. For example, 1 carbohydrate equals 4 calories. Okay. So, you can do the math. And so when the calculator spits out a calorie count for you, let's again, just round it. Let's say it's 2,000 calories. It's also going to present to you a suggested macro ratio. So it's going to say you should eat approximately this many grams of protein, this many grams of carbohydrates, and this many grams of fat. You can tweak that. Again, to your taste buds. If you like carbs more than fat or fat more than carbs, always get your protein though. Protein is so good for you and just delicious. But you're going to come to a point where, okay, I've got my numbers and I'm dialed in and I'm working, I'm losing maybe 2 or 3 pounds a week, and this is great. And it's going to come about a month later. And let's just say you've lost 5 to 10 pounds. Okay. That's a really good stretch, right? If you lost 10 pounds in about a 4 or 5 week period. But then all of a sudden you kind of plateau, you stop, right? You're not losing weight anymore. What's happened is you've actually begun to maintain. So you've lost your weight, but the calories that you're eating, and again, the ratios, the macro ratios are not as important as the calories. But the calories that you're eating, you're now in a maintenance mode. So you're eating enough calories to keep you moving forward. You're not going to gain. You're not going to lose. You've kind of hit that plateau.
Right, because you're losing. Because those numbers are based off of
your weight.
That weight you originally had that you don't have anymore, right?
Right. So you're carrying around less body mass now, and so you have to go back to the calculator and re-enter in. So you say, okay, I don't weigh 200 pounds now. I weigh 290, or I'm sorry, 190. Gainz. So I weigh 10 pounds less than I did before. And so you go in and it might say, all right, you need to be eating, 75 to 100 less calories a day. Again, just round numbers. And so it'll, you kind of tweak that. You say, okay, I'm going to eat the same things I'm eating. I'm just going to eat 100 less calories per day. And that's going to get me back on, losing my 1 to 2 to 3 pounds per week. And by the way, if you get to 2 pounds a week every week, like, congratulations.
That's crazy good.
Yeah. There's going to come a point where, the big hops are going to stop.
Sure.
In the beginning, depending on how much fat you're carrying, you'll lose big hops at a time, but that's going to stop. I'm coming into a plateau myself now. I've been at the same weight for about 2.5 weeks. I'm not gaining weight, and I can tell my recomposition, like, I'm looking different in the mirror, but my weight is exactly the same. But I'm patient, and I'm not going to go run and try to tweak my numbers. I'm not going to start starving myself, with my diet. I know that it's a process. My body's trying to hold on. It likes homeostasis. So I'm going to keep it, going. But probably every so often you have to do that. Now, I've said it a couple of times already, but I want to emphasize, the majority of people that are listening, I bet you, have what you would call a desk job, or
right.
A fairly inactive job. If you're outside, swinging a hammer all day, you're going to burn a considerable more amount of calories than someone like me. Even though I'm in the gym all the time, my 1 to 2 or 3 hours in the gym, if I'm lucky, is not going to balance out the fact that I sit on my butt for 10 hours, right? Calorie wise. I'll burn some calories in the gym, but not that many. So you have to understand your particular lifestyle and situation in life.
Right.
And that's kind of one of the steps to dialing in. If you have very young children and you're up at all hours of the night, that's taking a toll on your body. You have to understand that. If you have a stressful job, your tendency is going to be to want to eat all the time, to kind of make your body feel better. You have to understand that. If you are, a highly active, 21-year-old student, it's going to have an impact on how you measure these things. And so you kind of have to take all that into account. It's very much, a study of one. There are principles that work for flexible eating and intermittent fasting and really kind of any diets you might choose to do. The principles are there. The science works, calories in and calories out. But you can't just, look at it and say, I'm going to do it exactly this way because that guy, saw success. It doesn't work that way. That's, you see, that's the whole bodybuilding mentality. When I was a kid, you read the muscle magazines and all that. And you're like, I'm going to do this guy's routine and I'm going to, get big. No, it doesn't work that way. That's what worked for him. And so you kind of have to take that into account.
Good word.
Yeah, good stuff. So, Toney, thanks so much for chatting with us and giving us some information, kind of sharing your story and giving some insightful tips and whatnot. So that was really good content, and thanks so much again for joining us. Guys, if you'd like to contact us, the best way you could join is through our Facebook group, Bacon, Bibles, and Barbells. And make sure not to miss out the great conversations we're having there. You can also contact us via email at baconbiblesbarbells@gmail.com. And just a note I want to make is that I actually made like a video course that shows you how to use, like, if you're really stuck and don't even know how to use the calculator. I use iifym.com, but I walk you through how to use it. I also go through MyFitnessPal, use screenshots to tell you how to log in your calories. And so I will give that out to you guys. Just shoot us an email through, at the email, and I'll get that out to you guys. And again, Toney, thanks again so much. And Gainz and Grace.
Blast. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Absolutely. Gainz and Grace, brothers.
And turkey bacon is sin. Amen.
Turkey bacon is a sin.
Bind that conscience.